Hi, this is Sandy House, and I'd like to give you a quick overview of the Math 0997 My Math Lab course. This is a brand new course, so this section is definitely still under construction, but I think we've provided some resources for you that will help you in your classroom. And if you have any corrections, additions, deletions, please send those to me by email, sandy.house@gpc.edu, and we'll be sure to include those in the next go-round. When your students enter the course, the first thing that they're going to see is this home page. It has various links to run the browser check, the tutoring center, the tech support for both My Math Lab and GPC, signing into iCollege, checking their email, and the website for the Math, Computer Science, and Engineering department. You can change this and take away this page or hide this page if you'd like to. Just go to Manage Course, and you can either hide it so students can't see it, or you can archive it. So archive is the little file folder box. So you just click that, it'll archive it, and the students won't be able to see it. Now, when you enter the course, you'll see some information about the kinds of assignments that are available. Students cannot see this, so you don't need to hide this, but you can also archive this once you've read it so that you don't have to see this every time you enter the course. You can actually select the page that you enter into every time. If you feel like you're always in the assignment manager and you'd like to just enter to that page every time, you can do the same thing. Just go to Manage Course and make sure that it is item number 1 in your list, and then it will be the first thing that shows up. So enter the number and then hit return, and it will move it up. You can also drop and drag this way. So let's talk briefly about the kinds of assignments, and if you have any questions, corrections, additions, deletions, suggestions, you can send those to me at any time during the semester. This course is still under construction, and your feedback is valuable and much desired. The Math 1001-0997 committee decided to do worksheets with the students in the co-requisite part of the course. So in this My Math Lab course, I have included those 14 worksheets along with online practice and assessment that you can use with your students if you wish to do so. The student will click on the name of the worksheet. These are pretty much corresponding to weeks, but just in case they're not exactly corresponding to the week that you're using it, I have not named it by week. I've named it by worksheet and activity. Under that link, they'll see the objectives that are covered on the worksheet, and then the activities that are available. Again, homework, quiz, resources, and worksheet. Resources are still being developed, but those will be added onto this web page that this links out to as the semester progresses. And I would welcome any resources that you have created for your students, whether it be a PowerPoint, a handout, a video, anything that you would like to share with other 0997 teachers. You can send it to me and I'll link it through this web page. There's also this worksheet link, and that is just the PDF version of the worksheet. Eventually I will convert all of these to HTML so that hopefully most of it can be read by a screen reader for students who are visually impaired, but right now they're under the PDF form. So students can print those out and bring those to class. The other two links, homework and quizzes, will go to the My Math Lab homework and the My Math Lab quizzes. If a student currently clicks on this, they will not see anything because nothing was assigned in the template course, because I wanted you to be able to decide what kind of activities you wanted to assign to your students. You will note that each one of these corresponds to a chapter in the 1001 textbook. These don't necessarily match what's going on in the worksheet. However, I needed to link everything in My Math Lab somewhere. I needed 14 links, so I needed to use those 14 chapters that were available. So students probably never pay attention to this anyway, but just so you know, this number 1 goes with worksheet 1. If you click on 5, it's going to say, let's see, that one doesn't have homework. You click on 6, it's going to say 6, just so you know. So we don't even cover algebra equations and inequalities in either 997 or 1001. So these numbers match up just in a location where I needed to add things. Let me go back to the main menu for just a minute and look at this Instructor Only tab just to explain what this means. First thing, edit your Ask My Instructor email address. You can do that under the My Math Lab settings. You go to this Manage Course link. You go to the My Math Lab settings, edit MML settings. Go down to the last section on Learning Aids and Test Options. Click Edit. And enter your address here so that you can allow students to email you. If you wish for students to not email you, just uncheck that and be sure that you save it. Assignment notes here. Again, assignments are not assigned. You go to the assignment manager and decide which way you want your students to be doing work this semester, and I'll talk more in detail about that. Some assignments are still being reviewed. There is a placeholder in place of those. They will automatically show up in your class. Once all the assignments have been completed and reviewed, I will send out a message that you may leave the course group if you'd like to, or you can stay aligned with the course group to get any corrections that are taking place on these very, very new assignments. Right now, we have not developed any online assignments for a few things. The first one is the calculator worksheet number 5. You'll need to do that manually with your students. Worksheet number 14, even though there's a link for 14, it's actually the final exam review. And the plan is to put it in iCollege. I may put it in both iCollege and My Math Lab. But right now, it probably will just go into iCollege this semester because that's what the online math department decided we needed to do for our students since they have to take their final exam in iCollege. Also, worksheet 2 had to be divided into 2 parts. The geometry questions, you'll need to do those manually. The other items that are on there, there are algorithmically generated exercises for those that can be done online. Okay, so the kinds of assignments are available. There is a static assignment per worksheet marked with the letter S. This worksheet, with the exceptions of those you see above, assignment, will match exactly the worksheet. So if number 1 is 2 plus 3, number 1 will be 2 plus 3. It is a static question. Students can only enter the answer, work the problem 1 time, which means they can check their answer 2 times before it's marked completely wrong on the 3rd time, just like the regular My Math Lab. But they cannot ask for a similar question if it's a static question because they would have already seen the answer, and then that wouldn't make sense. These are provided this way in case you want to assign maybe students doing the odd ones in class, and then they can go home and do the evens and check their answers and see how they did, and you can count it for a grade or not. That's your choice. But it is the option to get it automatically graded for you. So if you want the students to do the exact worksheets online, assign the static assignments. You can also edit those, so if you don't want them to do all of them, you can take out items. There's also an algorithmic assignment per worksheet. It's marked with the letter A. In that one, they can work the problems over and over in the homework until they get it right, and they'll get a different version each time, of course, just like traditional My Math Lab. And then the quizzes are algorithmic per worksheet. These are pooled items, and I'll explain that a little bit more in detail when we look at quizzes. But a student can take the quiz multiple times, never get the same quiz. And I would highly encourage you to have your students do this because I've got a lot of research in my classes that having students take the quizzes multiple times really, really improves their final exam score. So the more often they take it and try to improve their score, the better they get at the concepts. So remember, letter S is static and letter A is algorithmic, and this is some instructions on how to edit them should you choose to do so. So let's look a little bit more at the assignments that are available. Now you're going to edit those and look at those under the assignment manager that's listed here in your menu. And if you click on Show All, you will see a static and an algorithmic homework plus a quiz. You'll also see that that these assignments are coming soon for 8 through 14, and the quizzes will be added as well, even though they're not here at the moment. You'll see those start to show up. So if you were to preview homework 1, you would see that these items match the worksheet exactly, and students would only be allowed to do these one time because they are static. If you wish to edit this and have students only do the evens or odds, you would select Edit and then edit the assignment. Now, I may not be able to edit if any students have taken this. Doesn't look like they have yet. So I could just go in here and I could, out of the 68 items that match the worksheet exactly, I could edit out, click all the evens if I wanted to delete them, and then hit the garbage can down in the bottom right-hand corner, and then be sure to save and assign. Now, once you hit assign, it will be available to students. So you may want to go into the settings and do your due dates and those various things before you save and assign it. The second assignment you see is an algorithmic assignment. You can do the same thing with that. You can edit it. And by editing it, you can take out items if you'd like to, by clicking on those items and deleting them at the bottom with a garbage can. So really, you have all of the assignment items for homework 1, or and you may want to edit the name of this, and I'll show you how to do that also. You have all of these items available to you, and you should select which type you want to assign, the static or the algorithmic. And then edit those, and don't turn on the one that you don't want to do. I do not anticipate that you would want to do both static and algorithmic, but some weeks you might do static and some weeks you might do algorithmic. That's up to you. And again, how much you edit is up to you, depending on how much you can get done in the classroom. You may want to assign more or less at home for the students to work on. Now the quiz, I want you to see the kinds of things that go on the quiz. So my experience is that students do much better in courses when they do quizzes and not just homework. They really do need to be assessed over the items. The quizzes are generally 10 to 20 items long. Tried to keep them at 10, but some worksheets were long and needed more items. But in the case of those longer worksheets, many of the items can be done very quickly. You will notice that I have done what's called a pooled question. That means for number 1, the students do not get the same item each time. So students can't really game the system and just memorize, because they're going to get different kinds of items. So if they get this subtract real numbers, number 6, one time it might be -1 minus 1. The next time it might be -1 minus -1. So they're going to get the same concept, but it's going to be kind of mixed up on the quiz, because we really want to make sure that the students understand these concepts. So not only are the items algorithmically generated, they're also pooled. So each quiz experience is different. That's why you should encourage your students to take the quizzes as often as they can. Now, I personally will count only the highest score, and the course is set up so that if you look at their quiz average, it's going to count the highest score. So I always encourage my students to not worry that you're going to make a lower score. Still continue to take those quizzes as often as you can. And I would say to them, take them until you can consistently make a 90% or an 80%, whatever you think is fair for your students. But that they should not just stop at one time, that they should continue to take those, and they'll get better and better at the content if they do that. Now I want to talk to you for just a minute about the numbering system. Because these are all custom questions, you will see a plus sign in front of the items. That plus sign means that this was an item that was created, not from the pool of items that are available from the textbook. These are created items. What you will see is the letters WS for worksheet, then the worksheet number, and then the item number. And if that item number is followed by an A, it means it's an algorithmic question. Now, you will notice that for number 1, I've used 1.42a. That's because 1.42a, number 42, and number 1 on the worksheet are really comparable questions. They're both involving of adding of real numbers, so I just chose that as one of the items that I wanted to put here. If you're looking to add additional items, remember that you're restricted only to items like are on the worksheet. If you want to put items like are on the worksheet, you're going to be limited to these custom questions, or you can go out to other textbooks perhaps and find some also. I think we've provided sufficient practice for your students on the worksheets though, and so you probably don't need more than what's here. And remember, you can also add the algorithmic questions more than once and they'll get a different version. But if you want to see all the questions that are available, if you'll click show other questions, show other custom questions, then they'll all show up here in the left-hand menu. And you'll notice that that it will always be WS, the number of the worksheet, the item number. If it doesn't have an A, it's not algorithmic. And by the way, lowercase ABC means the 3 parts. There would be a capital letter A for algorithmic. The statics have no letter, and a capital letter A for algorithmic and no letter for static. So there are a lot of problems that you can provide, and we're going to be adding more and more items as the semester goes along. And we'll definitely have some edits that happen here. So if you find any mistakes, again, please feel free to email me, sandy.house@gpc.edu. We're going to try to make those changes immediately as they are reported. I can do that through the custom question builder. If I go in, if we find there's a mistake with item worksheet 1, number 40, I can go in and I can change that and correct it for everybody. So if we do our due diligence here, we'll catch anything early and we'll fix it quickly, and then we'll have a great set of items that we can use going forward with this course that match the worksheet and our learning outcomes, and also won't cost our students any more, because if they're already using My Math Lab in their 1001 class, then they do not have to buy a second access code to get into this course. I think that's all I need to show you at the moment. Just be sure that you go in and you assign the types of items that you want, that you edit the assignments, and that you change your email address so that I don't get emails from your students all semester. Haha. If you have any questions at all, you can email me at sandy.house@gpc.edu. Again, remember that I encourage additions, deletions, questions, fixing errors, rewording, whatever you see that you think we should work on. I will ask the committee to take a look at that, and we'll correct it. And I think you're going to find, again, plenty of practice for your students. And if you can get them in there taking those quizzes, I think that it'll really help them with their Math 1001 content as well. Let's talk briefly about how you can rename these assignments in a very quick way. Of course, you can always edit them under the Edit button to the right-hand side and in the Action menu. However, if you want to change the names of everything all at one time, there's a quick way to do that. So if you'll go up to More Assignment Tools, drop down, and go to Change Assignment Settings, you can edit each of the names all on one page, and just be sure to update at the end.